I've tried to achieve a good balance between the fewest sequences to learn to begin with a simple progression to a more competent method. The method can also be used as a stepping stone to a corners first Rubik's Cube solution. The first thing I'm going to do is to build a white face, and I'm going to move all of the pieces with white on them together onto that face with simple moves. The simplest move I can see here is just to turn that piece up. The next most simple move that I can see here is to turn this piece onto that face also, and now I'm beginning to build my white face. I'm very close to completing it. In fact, there's only one more move that I'm going to have to do to put this piece, this last white piece, into that spot. I'm going to turn my cube upside down so that my white face is at the bottom, just to make this move simpler. I'll move this target piece above its target position so that it's lined up right above it. Then I'm going to perform my first sequence, and it's R, U, R minus. The other sequence that I might be faced with is this one, where I've got my white piece on the other side, or the other face, and in this case it would be L anti-clockwise, U anti-clockwise, L clockwise. The last situation I might get would be to have the white sticker on the top face above its target position. For this situation I would perform 2R, U, 2R, U anti-clockwise, 2R. Now that I've solved or orientated my white face, the next thing I want to do is to orientate the stickers on my yellow face. The yellow face on my cube is opposite the white face. It might be a different colour on your cube. I'm going to use a simple sequence to orientate one piece at a time. I'm going to hold the cube so that the yellow face is the F face, or the front face, and my target piece is in the top right hand corner of the front face. The piece has an opportunity to be orientated in two ways if it's not correct. It can have the yellow piece on the top or on the right hand side. If the yellow piece is on the top, perform this sequence: R backwards, U, R, U backwards, and do it again. R backwards, U, R, U backwards. That orientates the piece, but it messes up my white face. If I hold the cube in the same position, there's the piece that I just orientated. If I hold the cube in the same position and rotate the front face around until my new target piece is in the target position, which is the top right hand side of the cube, I can restore the back white face with my next move. If the yellow sticker is on the right hand side of the cube, you perform a different sequence. This sequence is U, R backwards, U backwards, R. And again, U, R backwards, U backwards, R. When my yellow face is orientated, my back face will return to be orientated also. You can solve any situation you might come across for orientating these yellow pieces using those two sequences that I showed you by maintaining the back face in the same position, or holding the back half of the cube steady so that it doesn't move, and simply rotating each piece into place, like that. In this situation, we have 3 yellow pieces that need orientating. The white face is solved. I'll hold the rear part of the cube and I'll orientate my first piece. A simple way to remember how you might orientate those pieces is that the first turn will always put the correct sticker orientated on that face. So my first turn for this sequence is going to be U. R backwards, U backwards, R. U, R backwards, U backwards, R. Then I'm going to hold the back part of the cube steady, rotate my next piece into position, and it's going to be the same sequence. U, R backwards, U backwards, R, and again U, R backwards, U backwards, R. Rotate my third piece into position, holding the back steady. U, R backwards, U backwards, R, and again U, R backwards, U backwards, R. By the time I complete my rotations, both the top and the bottom faces are solved. The last thing for me to do is to switch some of the positions of these pieces to put the colours in the sides next to each other. I'm going to pick on one row at a time, or one layer at a time, and let's start with the yellow face, or the yellow layer. You'll notice none of the pieces are next to the correct partner. So we've got a red next to an orange, but we'd like an orange next to an orange. Now, because I've got no pieces correctly placed next to each other around this entire top layer, I can perform the sequence randomly and I will get one correctly matched pair. This sequence swaps this piece for this piece on the top right hand side, and it is R2, U, R2, U anti-clockwise, R2. Now you should be familiar with that half of the sequence already because we've used it once before. Then we turn the whole cube anti-clockwise, then R2, U anti-clockwise, R2, U, R2. And you might notice that that is just the reverse of the first half of the sequence. And you'll also notice that now we've got 2 correctly placed pieces next to each other, and so a matched pair on the top layer. So we'll just turn that correctly matched pair to the left hand side and switch these 2 pieces to solve the whole top layer. We use the same sequence, R2, U, R2, U anti-clockwise, R2, turn the whole cube anti-clockwise, R2, U anti-clockwise, R2, U, R2, and the whole top layer is solved. As you can see, we've also got a pair on the bottom layer now. So there's only one pair next to swap on the entire cube. Let's perform our sequence. R2, U, R2, U anti-clockwise, R2, turn the whole cube anti-clockwise, R2, U anti-clockwise, R2, U, R2, put the layers together, and we've solved our cube. I'd like to move a little bit further with this tutorial and link it to a corners first Rubik's Cube solution, in which you'll only need to learn a little bit of piece placement and 2 additional sequences in order to be able to solve the Rubik's Cube from what you already know from here.